Philadelphia Eagles have one of the most decorated players in the entire NFL at the running back position, my friend. But a criticism that has existed since his days in New York resurfaced this week, coming from a source who preferred to remain anonymous. The criticism is not about talent. It is not about effort. It is about a specific pattern that, according to this source, has repeated for years. A player who needs everything perfectly set up in front of him to actually produce. And the 2025 season numbers give real ammunition to that criticism, showing a drop that goes far beyond what any single statistic can capture. Who made this criticism? What exactly was said? And do the numbers confirm or challenge that narrative? I am going to walk you through this entire recent criticism of Saquon Barkley, including the specific numbers behind it, and the defense another league executive offered on his behalf. But first, if you are a die-hard Eagles fan, hit that like button and subscribe right now, because this kind of behind-the-scenes evaluation, coming from people who actually work inside the league, reveals a lot more than any fan debate on social media. The criticism surfaced through a piece by ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, published this past Monday, in which the reporter spoke with executives, coaches, and scouts from NFL teams to build a ranking of the league's top 10 running backs for 2026. An unidentified coordinator, when asked specifically about Barkley, summarized his one criticism this way: "The only thing he points to is that Barkley does not always produce when things are not completely clean in front of him, and that this goes back to his days in New York, with a tendency to need everything perfectly set up for him to be effective." It is a surgical critique, the kind only someone who studies game tape professionally can articulate with that level of precision. To understand why this criticism gained traction right now, you need to look at the real production drop between 2024 and 2025. Barkley finished the 2024 regular season leading the entire league with 2,283 total scrimmage yards, which earned him the Offensive Player of the Year award, playing under then offensive coordinator Kellen Moore, who left the Eagles to become head coach of the New Orleans Saints in February of 2025. Compared to the following season, Barkley finished 2025 ranked 15th in the league, with just 1,413 total scrimmage yards, a drop of nearly 900 yards from one season to the next. Fowler also highlighted two specific numbers that exposed the size of that drop. Barkley's runs of 20 or more yards fell to just 4 on the season, 13 fewer than the year before. And his rushing yards over expected rate, measured by NFL Next Gen Stats, plummeted from second in the league in 2024 to 24th in 2025. Looking deeper at the numbers, it becomes clear the drop was not about effort or raw efficiency. According to PFF data, Barkley carried the ball 280 times for 1,140 yards in 2025, averaging 4.1 yards per carry, forced 52 missed tackles as a runner, and averaged 2.7 yards after contact per attempt, numbers that show a player who remained strong between the tackles and difficult to bring down on first contact. His overall PFF grade for the season was 67.9, ranking him 42nd among 55 qualified running backs, with a specific rushing grade of 76.5, ranking 25th. In other words, even in a season considered down by the standard he himself set in 2024, Barkley was still producing well after contact. The problem was more concentrated in creating explosive plays before contact, exactly the kind of production that depends on clean blocks and lanes already opened up by the offensive line. And that is exactly where the context of the Eagles' own offensive line in 2025 becomes essential to fairly evaluate this criticism, a topic we already explored in detail in a recent video about the possible return of Mekhi Becton. The offensive line faced significant injuries throughout practically the entire season. Landon Dickerson operating nearly the whole year in what he himself described as constant pain after knee surgery. Jurgens also coming back from surgery. And Lane Johnson missing a good chunk of the second half of the season with a foot injury. An absence that, according to Philadelphia's own specialized media, hit Barkley's ability to find running lanes hard. RotoWire went as far as to directly point out that the Eagles lost reps or had players playing hurt at left guard, center, and right tackle at various points in the season. Exactly the kind of instability that keeps any running back, no matter how talented, from replicating the level of explosive runs he had in 2024. The ranking Fowler built based on these conversations placed Bijan Robinson of the Atlanta Falcons at the top of the list, followed by Jahmyr Gibbs of the Detroit Lions, and then Barkley in third, still a standout spot among the league's best. But behind two names most analysts have ranked above him for at least a full season now. It is worth noting that the anonymous coordinator's criticism does not mean the entire league sees Barkley this way. A high-ranking executive from another NFL team, also consulted by Fowler, offered a direct, no-nonsense defense. He said he is not going to penalize Barkley for a completely bad offense last year, that he remains a three-down weapon, and that if he needed a running back for a single season, he would still pick him as his first choice. This disagreement between professionals within the league itself is the most interesting part of this entire story. On one side, there is the specific criticism about depending on a perfect scenario to produce, a pattern that traces back to Barkley's time with the New York Giants, where he played from 2018 until joining the Eagles after the 2023 season, a stretch during which he repeatedly dealt with weak offensive lines and unproductive offenses. On the other side, there is the acknowledgement that 2025 was, collectively, a bad season for the entire Eagles offense, not just for Barkley individually, and that penalizing the running back for a broken offensive context would be unfair when the problem was spread across multiple positions and multiple scheme failures. Something we already discussed in detail in previous videos about Jalen Hurts' own situation during that same season. And that is exactly where this criticism connects to one of the biggest ongoing storylines of the entire Eagles offseason: the arrival of Sean Mannion as the new offensive coordinator, replacing the fired Kevin Patullo. How Barkley performs under Mannion's new scheme could end up being a determining factor not just for Barkley's season, but also for Jalen Hurts' own future in Philadelphia, a topic we already explored in depth recently, including the rumors about the quarterback's future that continue to hang over the franchise at least until he returns to playing regular season snaps in September. If Barkley returns to 2024-level production within Mannion's scheme, that reinforces the theory that he simply needs a well-structured system around him to thrive, validating, in a way, the anonymous coordinator's own criticism, just reframed as a disguised compliment rather than a competitive character flaw. Here is the bottom line. Criticisms like this, coming from inside the industry itself, rarely appear without real statistical grounding behind them. The 2025 numbers do not lie. The drop in explosive runs and in the rushing yards over expected metric is too significant to ignore or attribute purely to chance. But it is also true that Barkley remains ranked as the third best running back in the entire NFL by professionals who evaluate rosters and depth charts across all 32 franchises in the league, a spot the overwhelming majority of players at the position will never reach. And the advanced numbers themselves show the drop was specifically concentrated in explosive plays, not in overall production after contact, which points more toward a problem of offensive context than any physical limitation or lack of will on the player's own part. The real question is not whether Barkley is good. It is whether Sean Mannion's scheme will give him back the kind of clean, well-built offensive structure that, according to the criticism itself, he needs to operate at his maximum level, with an anonymous coordinator pointing to a historical dependence on perfect scenarios, with a rival executive stepping up to directly defend Barkley, and with the 2025 numbers showing a real measurable drop compared to his 2024 MVP caliber season, but concentrated specifically in explosive plays rather than overall production. The question left for you, Eagles fan, is direct. Do you believe this criticism is fair and reflects a real limitation in Barkley's game, or was the 2025 production drop purely the result of an offensive line hurt by injuries, with no connection to any limitation of his own? Drop your opinion in the comments. Do not forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I will be back later to keep you updated with the latest Eagles news.